And once more, hello everybody who's watching and listening. Welcome back to some more Mechabellum, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I am playing against Biturbo. Um, Not really sure what that name is supposed to be, but it does sound amazing, I have to say. Uh, the turbo kinda in there really sounds cool, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm playing with phoenixes and crawlers against sledges and crawlers. So basically, my opponent kinda has to think about what anti-air he wants to get. The choice usually is going for either some additional chaff in the form of what are they called? Losing my words. In the form of fangs. If you're confident that you can kind of hold the front, then the fangs can clean up the phoenixes. Or you can also go for marksmen, but you really do need to win the chaff war then. However, with area specialist, there is a third option, similar to with supply and cost control. You can also go into round 1 wasps. Or I guess you could also go into round 1 mustangs. But I think wasps is probably more popular. My opponent in this instance decides to go for some additional marksmen, and this unit combo I think is just plain one of the best unit combos you can start out with. 2 packs of sledges, 2 marksmen, 3 packs of crawlers. You go get that, and there is very, very few unit compositions, if your positioning isn't atrocious, that you are going to lose to. It is definitely on the stronger side, is what I want to say. Now that said, Arclight, Crawler and Phoenix is not to be snuffed at either. It's just that once the tanks are really good chaff, and it will take a long time for Phoenixes to get rid of tanks. Long enough that the marksman can just go in and take the Phoenixes out. Round number 2, unit drops. Pretty expensive chaff here. And I do mean expensive. There's $100 price tag on these. My opponent does pick them. And the choice is what I want. I think I was basically just calculating which is the most money and then sold the Rhino, if I'm not mistaken. My opponent is putting this chaff fairly late. Fairly late. I don't like it. I honestly don't like it. Yeah, I'm getting the Rhino and selling it. Because these fangs, they will give 5 times, I think, the experience of level 1 fangs. And that does stack up very quickly, let me tell you. This round, I'm just going for more chaff. And do I get my upgrades? I think I sat on the money and didn't use it this round. I wanted to see what my opponent does. I really didn't expect him to go for late, high-level fangs. I think the later the stage of the game, the worse they become. Also, I should next time absolutely remember to punish my opponent for this. Putting some Stormcrawlers here so that they shoot basically at this moment in time. The shots start landing and AoE both the crawlers and the sledges. I should put that on my list of things to do when my opponent goes for a strategy like that. I guess it's not as bad. He will put a crawler into the middle and distract the Stormcrawler, so maybe it's not that bad. But I usually avoid this placement. I guess now that I'm looking at it, maybe I should be going for it more. Because it does absolutely make sense to do that. Anyhow, you can just see the XP of these Phoenixes rising with each single fang they kill. So even that is starting to stack up pretty quickly. Deployment Specialist comes out. Photon emission, laser sights, all of these I think are viable. I'm going for the Deployment Specialist. It's now $100. Similar to the laser sights, my opponent is going for that. I decided that I should absolutely positively exploit my opponent putting high level chaff on the board and go for some carry arcs. And instantly, in this specific case, give them charge shot. Maybe range would have been better. Because the Phoenixes can clean up the tanks pretty easily. But then again, my opponent is dropping some extra sledges, so that might not be a bad choice. Once again, the opponent is dropping some extra sledges. I think, like, if you play Sledge Marksman, it can very easily carry you beyond, like, 1000 MMR. But beyond that point, when people start to get comfortable with playing Scorpions, you kinda just start losing to it more and more. Because the opponents will just spawn some Scorpions or go for carry arcs themselves, and suddenly you're gonna be in real trouble if you have a lot of leveled sledges that suddenly don't really do much anymore. Anyhow, my opponent has enough chaff to keep my forces back for a decent amount of time, so I don't really make much progress up to the tanks until now. I do end up taking at least some of the high-level fangs out, but it really isn't all that great. My arc slides have been destroyed. They did kill a decent amount of tanks, but these fat XP bombs, I'm just not getting them. I was really banking on getting that and scaling my arc lights to the moon and beyond. Senior Attack Specialist comes out. Another laser sight. Underground threat, acid blast. I think everything here is viable except maybe the underground threat. I don't really see what it will accomplish for either of us. My opponent is a man of culture. He goes for a symmetrical board. Other than these scrollers in the middle, I really would have liked them to be horizontal, no, not horizontal, vertical, so that the board is entirely symmetrical. But that might just be an OCD thing for me. I'm dropping some additional arc lights and some additional chaff. After all, why not use your deployment specialist if you have it? And, well, my board is symmetrical. Even the levels are symmetrical. My opponent is dropping some additional marksmen. Yeah, I'm liking this. It's so symmetrical. It looks so good. Other people are probably going to say boring to that. I did sell... oh no, I didn't sell anything this round. I sold the rider, that's why I have it. My opponent does go for a range on the sledges, and unfortunately this is not symmetrical either. But I guess it can't be helped. I guess it just can't be helped. He does have EMP and range here if he wants to. He does buy out. What does he really want to get here? Oh, he shields. I'm not even sure what he's shielding for. I guess the Acid Blast? But Acid Blast in round 4 is not all that great. Like, I have the damage to take his tanks out. I don't really need anti-tank. I need anti-chaff. That said, sledges with range do scale pretty well into carry arc lights that are still stuck on chaff. So this ends up being quite a terrible round for me. The range was a really good move on my opponent's side. This arc light unfortunately does not seem to level. And once more, I am being denied the XP bomb fangs. I don't even take down one of the shields and I lose a lot of HP. Fortress comes out. Always a fan of that. High level Sabertooth as well. Melting Point to counter the Wraith or the Fortress coming out worth a thought as well. Even the Sabertooth will be countered by that Melting Point. It has enough HP to make it worth it. I go for the Fortress because, well, you've seen me before. I like carry arc, carry fort. So I'm going for the Fortress. It just makes things a lot easier in the later stages of the game, I think. Basically, I think of the Fortress here as a second line of chaff, but really, really big fat chaff that also helps the small chaff survive, and an anti-combat power unit, because you can throw shields on it and it will do very nicely into combat powers, into most of them anyway. Acid being an exception. And I guess oil slowing it down from reaching its targets is also pretty bad. Mech Rage now also comes out. Definitely helping. I now have range on the Arclight, so they don't have much less than the Sledgehammers, 2 range less. But they can easily outscale the sledges in terms of range. So once again, an opponent is trying to counter carry Arclights by going further into sledges. He does also drop some additional fangs, which makes absolute sense. Carry Arclights are atrocious against fangs with shields. Well, not atrocious. I think that's unfair. He also buys out again. I guess he wants to really finish it this round. He hasn't dropped a round, so I don't think he needs to. Now that said, with range, these Arclights are suddenly doing a lot better into the sledges. There's a level 3 marksman on either side, so that is enough damage to really take a lot of stuff out. The Phoenixes, unfortunately, I didn't remember, I think, are too far ahead of the rest, and they will just get killed by the marksman. And my opponent is once again pushing through. However, the fortress is still alive, the shield drops, and there's carry Arclights behind here, so it's not yet all lost. It is, however, definitely not going in my favor. Let's just speed this up. I should be doing that more. Down to 780 health, and my opponent is absolutely untouched as of yet. Another deployment specialist comes out. So I already have one. How about two? My opponent does go for the high-range Vulcan. I'm not sure if that's actually good. I'm really not sure if that's actually good. Also, why is it called high-range Vulcan? If it also does 50% more damage, and I think that might be more of the point. I do level the Phoenixes. If I do level the Phoenixes, I should give them range, but I don't think I got the money anymore. No, I don't. Unless I buy out. Yeah, I buy out, and do I get range here now? I think I did. No, I did not. I invest into mass chaff, because, well, Arclights aren't good against chaff, against fangs with shields. Sledges aren't either. I do just go for all the upgrades, so I'm really starting to... Like, I need to start winning rounds. There's no alternative to it. My Arclights at round 6 are still stuck at highest level 3. I have one level 3 Arclight. I was really banking on getting these fangs every round, hopefully. But I haven't been, and that is the issue.